My name's Peter, and 3 years ago, I decided to change my life completely. My substance use was starting to take control over me. I was no longer in control of it, and it came to a point where I definitely needed some help, and I searched out and got the help that I needed. For 1 month, I went to a substance abuse rehab treatment center, which was something that I wasn't used to. I thought I was a hardcore substance user, but once I got to the treatment center, started realizing that compared to the people that I was with, I was just a beginner. It opened my eyes to a lot of different scenarios. It opened my eyes to a lot of hurt, and it also opened my eyes to realizing how severe substance abuse is in the world. After the month process at the rehab treatment center, I was basically just chucked back into reality, and good luck. Hopefully everything works out for you, and let's see how this goes. And that's when the nightmares, that's when all the, I wouldn't say problems, I would say that's when the real recovery process started. Because I was coming back to family, friends, people that I knew, that, occasionally had a few drinks, had some marijuana, some cigarettes, types like that. And I was coming back, and it was sort of like a celebration that, yeah, look at you, you did a month at the rehab center, and good for you, and let's go out and party. And I was like, well, that's it. No, this is where I cut it all out. And when I came back, you see, people don't realize what I went through. They just saw the frustration, they just saw the anger, they just saw the hate. They had no idea how many times I was fighting with myself on the inside, trying to better myself, trying to understand, trying to cope with this experience that I was going through. For the first month, I didn't go anywhere. It was during the COVID pandemic. I couldn't even go to the local store, because the local store for me was, grabbing some milk, grabbing some bread, grabbing a case of beer. That was my routine. Or I'd have a smoke before I'd even go to the store. And I was scared. I was afraid, not by the pandemic. The pandemic, it was nasty. It was fearful. But I was more afraid of me relapsing than I was of the pandemic. So I didn't go anywhere. I was too afraid to go to the local store in fear of relapsing, a fear of, grabbing a drink, or having the triggers that I used to have come back and bite me in the ass. So for the first month, I didn't go anywhere. And I started learning, researching, and I started, sort of figuring out who I really was. And to be honest with you, it was scary, because I was doing this all by myself. The people around me had no clue what I was going through. I tried to explain to them why I'm, firing off, and why am I, so evil, so nasty. And it wasn't because of them. It wasn't because of anything that they were doing. It was just I was having trouble figuring out what am I supposed to do now? Because if you imagine for 35 years, you've done something that, it's a routine for you. You were really good at it. You constantly, this is all you knew. And then all of a sudden somebody says to you, okay, that's it. You're done. You can't do this anymore. Now it's time for you to start all over. Well, what are you going to do then? How are you going to do that? And that was the struggle that I was having. I went to AA meetings, I went to NA meetings, and the thing was, while I was at these meetings, I felt guilty if I had something positive happen to me, because the people around me were living hell. And I felt guilty that I'm telling my wonderful story and I'm excited about what I was doing. But then on the flip side, I was like, I want them to experience the exact same thing. I don't want them to have this hardship. I don't want to hear, them struggling. And it broke my heart to the point that I stopped saying, my positive feelings, because I didn't want to discourage them in their journey. I didn't want them to feel like, oh, look at this guy. Well, he's got everything going well for him. Not realizing that I used to kill myself. I used to have the worst conversations with myself, constant conversations of, well, look at everybody else doing it. Why can't you do it? Why did you have to stop? Why do you have to make the sacrifices? Why can't anybody else around you make sacrifices? And these were the constant conversations that I used to have with myself, and it slowly destroyed me. I needed something to change it. I needed something to flip it. And I ended up doing, fasting. Fasting flipped my whole perspective of life. It was not the fact that I was fasting for weight loss. Yeah, that was perfect. Fasting taught me about, my whole body, my whole mind, my whole structure, about everything that I was doing, because it was so difficult for me to start a new life that I had no clue how to even start. There is no instructions. There was no structured roadmap for me to move forward after my rehab. Rehab was fun. Like, I'm not saying fun, but I'm saying, it was people that could relate to each other, people that understood each other, people that actually got it. But then when you come out of that, the people that you're surrounded with have no clue. They have no idea of what the struggles are. They have no clue about, what's going on in your mind. Even if you tell them, they still won't understand it, because it's not comprehensive to them. They don't know what it's like to all of a sudden just stop everything that you've ever done in your whole life. And now it's time for you to learn something new. I had to restructure my whole life all over again. Everything from the beginning to the end, I had to completely revamp everything. People that I hang around with, my routines. Like I said, going to the store was something that kept me home for a month, because I was too afraid to go out because of the triggers that would come out of me that I created myself. And when I talk about triggers are, triggers are going to the movies and having popcorn. You can't go to the movies unless you're eating popcorn. That's a trigger. That's something we've created ourselves. My trigger was, if I cut the lawn outside, after I'm done cutting the lawn, I deserve a beer. I deserve, a vodka cola or whiskey, to sit back and look at myself going, hey, I deserve this. That was a trigger. That was something, just thinking about cutting grass was a trigger for me. Because that was my excuse to, hey, now I can have my whiskey. Now I can have my drink. Now I can have my smoke. Because I deserved it. I earned it. And that's quite a lot of things that I had to fight with and I had to deal with. And I lost a lot of friends, well, so-called friends, because I didn't go out anymore. I remember one time somebody said to me, well, why don't you just come to our place, or why don't you just come to the bar and watch the games with us like you used to? And I tried to explain to them, how am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to do that? I can't go to a bar and sit with a bunch of people that are drinking and I'm having a Coca-Cola or a glass of water and watching the game, because it's not the same. It's lost its value. It's no longer what it was. It can become that. I'm not saying that. It can become that. But at that point in time, no, because it's way too easy for me to go right back to what I was doing, because that was my, subconscious mind was, hey, you're at the bar, you're watching the game, you're with the guys. Come on, beer. What are you doing? Glass of water. Get out of here. No, do this. And it didn't help that there were some people that would buy me a drink and put it in front of me and go, well, just in case. Friends, right? So that's what I've been dealing with for 3 years, and it's a process, and it's something that I needed to do in order to achieve the lifestyle that I have now. I'm happier than anything right now. I'm learning new things. I'm doing things that I've never experienced in my life. Imagine this. Think to yourself, when was the last time you went to the woods and stood there and listened? You don't do stuff like this. Everybody always says, I don't have time for that. Yes, you do. You don't even have to go to the woods. Just go stand outside your house. Go stand on your balcony in an apartment building and just stand there. You don't have to do it for very long, 2 minutes. These are the things that I missed. These are the things that I had no clue, because I was just jumping from one pub to another pub, to this place, to this. I was chasing happiness. I was trying to chase that happy feeling. But the more I chased, the more miserable I became. It was only when I started being present, only when I started to actually just stop and look around and absorb everything that's going on. Watching squirrels chase each other around a tree, the highlight of my day. I love that, because that's pure, that's real. Going to the pub, shooting the shit with a bunch of drunk people, half of that stuff you won't even remember anyway. So, this is my story. This is how I went through hell and back, and I'm still here, and I'm still smiling, and I'm still trying to enjoy my life. I'm still trying to find new things to try, new things to do. It scares me every once in a while, but it's a good fear. It's not a bad one. I'm not afraid to sit by myself and be in one with my thoughts. In the past, I had so many thoughts. That's why I started drinking, smoking. The drinking and the smoking stopped my thoughts. The drinking and the smoking stopped them just for that night. The next day, 1,000,000 more came through, and I had to go right back and start drinking again so that I can stop it, because I didn't want to deal with these thoughts. thoughts. I didn't want to deal with these emotions. And that's why a lot of us, you know, when you're sitting by yourself, how many people actually sit and reflect on what they're actually thinking, or what thoughts are coming up when you're, you know, just yourself, quiet? What are going through your mind? What are the messages? Because the million messages that I was getting was important things, but I was just shoving them down and shoving them down and shoving them down and not dealing with them. And the more you try to shove them down, the bigger they grow. It's like a little monster inside of you. And if you don't get it out, it's just going to evolve into the point where you just go, and that's it, right? And that was something that I had to learn. I'm meditating nowadays. I have ADHD and I'm meditating for a half an hour. When I started out, I couldn't even last 2 minutes. I could not do 2 minutes without one of my legs going crazy or my arms going crazy or me just going, this is crap. I don't want to do this. But then when I just started to think about my breathing, started to think about just being calm and relaxed, that's when the meditation started to help me. I started journaling. I started writing my thoughts out. I started writing all the negative things that were coming in my mind. Because that's what's helping me. Because now I know when this situation happens, I know how to deal with it. It's something that I needed to do. And I had to do it. Because if I didn't, my kids would not see me anymore. It was going that far. And this is my story. And if you follow me on my site, you'll hear more about this. I hope you have a fantastic day. And I thank you for watching this.